Yeah, man. So then we was walking down the alley, man, and he bent over and we back in the building. What's going on with you, man? Down in Sports Talk Tuesday night. You know what it is. Left-handed in the building at RM Des on Twitter. I got my code D in the house with me as usual. Y'all the Bears in the house. A lot of stuff to talk about. Who knew that the NFL, the NBA had a hot stove in the offseason? I mean, we usually talk about it once they, win a championship and let the champions do what they do. And now everybody's ready to move on to the next biggest and best thing. We're gonna get into that tonight. We're gonna talk about some WNBA stuff because the WNBA is definitely popping. And if you're not paying attention to it, you should. All right. We're gonna do a what if, another what if segment later on in the show. The NBA draft is Thursday night, so we're gonna get into that. The first pick has already been settled, and the second and third pick, we'll talk about that too. Yada Bear, what's good with you?
Oh man, nothing. Just hanging, chilling. Hope everybody had a great Juneteenth. Yesterday. Me personally, I was working, so you know how that goes. But just chilling. Phillies.
It was a federal holiday, but not for everybody.
Not for everybody. Phillies are playing. It's nice outside. Got a cold one, and it's Tuesday. Ready. To hang out with you guys on the best sports show that no one never heard of.
Absolutely, we in the building.
What's going on with you?
I'm chilling, man. Everything's everything, Did a little thing for the pockets and all that, you know what I mean? And feeling good. Got this, to celebrate the thing. It was, Father's Day. Salute to all the dads, the granddads, the stepdads, the uncles, and all of that stuff, the big cousins and the pops and all of that. Salute to all of y'all, you know what I mean, for doing your thing. Yeah, man. So, we're here. It's another Tuesday night. We made it to another glorious Tuesday down in Sports Talk. Like Yada said, the best sports talk show that you've never heard of. Hopefully you will after you hit that YouTube page and smash that like and subscribe button, because we are definitely in the building and we're doing our 1-2s. We're going to begin tonight a little different. You know what I mean? In the respect to, what's going on with my thing. I love, I'm a hip hop head. You know what I mean? Born and bred into this thing that we call hip hop, the culture, the genre, whatever you want to call it. Tonight, we just want to lead off the show with discussing, in our opinion, you know what I mean, the best hip hop movies. So it could be, it could be broad, you know what I mean. It could be about the essence of hip hop, or it could be hip hop related, or it could be just like, a movie that that you like that's relatable to hip hop. So Yada Bear, we're gonna start off with you. What are your top 3 or top 5 hip hop movies?
Wow, 5, man, it was just hard.
I mean, 3, 5, whatever.
No, that's fine. In no particular order. We talking about this behind the scenes. Had to get the criteria of what a hip hop movie is. So once I got that understanding, I'll have to go with Juice. I love Juice. Breaking. I love breaking. I always love the break dancing. How California life, how they did hip hop over there.
Turbo and Ozone.
Exactly. With they have shirts on and colorful bandanas. When neon, when guys wasn't afraid to wear neon colors, that was in. Showing your belly button was a thing also, I will have to go with of course, being from Philly, state property,
Okay.
Property. Man, it's last 2 is kind of hard for me, because you can go with Boys in the Hood,
Okay.
And I will go. My last one would have to be Friday. I would have to go Friday.
All right, no doubt. That's what it is. Respect. You know what I mean? Those movies are definitely dope. All of them are, considered classics. You know what I mean?
Oh man, hold
If
on,
you watched it,
hold on, I gotta take one. I gotta take Friday off,
uh-oh.
and I gotta go with Class Act. Now, people
Okay.
thought I would have went with House Party,
Uh-huh.
but Class Act was an
That was the sequel, right?
classic. It wasn't really a class. It wasn't really a sequel. It was more, kind of don't almost playing the same guys, but
Uh-huh.
in verse. But I
That was
always
Kid and Play, right?
yeah, you
Okay.
know, you would thought I would want House Party, but that'd been the obvious choice. But
Mm-hmm.
Class Act, I mean, anytime that comes on, I'm still watching like I'm watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Definitely, hip hop related movies. I was getting ready to say, if you see any of those movies that Yada Bear mentioned, you definitely stop and watch it, or you could remember classic lines. What are some of the lines that you remember from some of those movies that you mentioned?
Especially from Class Act when the ugly bull, the big buff bull, who was he was kind of like a drug dealer / bully. He was kid was talking to like his girl, and they was like doing like a science experiment. They was like dissecting frogs, and he was like, "Denita, I thought you was gonna play with my frog," and she was like, "It's a new frog in town. I don't want to play with your frog no more." I was like, "Oh man, like that's classic."
That's what's up.
What's your list?
So listen, Yada, talked about, hip hop in broad terms and hip hop related stories. My list kind of more settles in on the essence of hip hop. Old school cat, true school cat. I'm not gonna, put them in any particular order, but my 5, one of them would have to be Wild Style. Absolutely, the OG hip hop movie. If you've never seen Wild Style, please do yourself a favor and check out Wild Style. Again, I would have to say, I would go along with Yada Bear and say, Juice. I didn't even think of Juice. You know what I mean? That was a great film. You know what I mean? Storyline. I'm gonna throw one in there at you, Yada Bear. Who's the Man?
Oh.
You know what I mean? That movie was, absolutely. I felt like that was, they did a lot. It was every scene had a cameo in it. It was very, very good movie. Rest in peace, Ted Demme. You know what I mean? Salute to Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, and every hip hop head at the time can relate to it because they was in that movie. The Show. That's one of my favorite hip hop movies because it dealt strictly with with the hip hop thing. And one of the scenes that I remember from The Show is when Russell Simmons was in the Rolls Royce. He was going up to Rikers Island to go see Slick Rick when Rick was locked up, and he was like, he was in the Rolls Royce. He was like, "Yo, I'm just doing this for the movie. I don't really fuck with Rick like that." You know what I mean? And that was kind of crazy to me. You know what I mean? That movie was, Run DMC, Wu-Tang Clan, Snoop Dogg,
everybody,
Biggie.
right?
You know what I mean? So it was definitely, it ran the gamut of hip hop. It was a concert movie within a movie. You know what I mean? One of the dope scenes from The Show is when the Wu-Tang Clan was on the train, and Method Man was talking about life in Staten Island, and then him and U-God got into it. You know what I mean? And one of the classic lines was like when Meth was talking to U-God, they were talking about the radio interviews going, when they were going out of the country and doing their radio interviews. And Meth was like, "Look at the interviews you give. Look at that." U-God was like, "You always talking. You always talking. And Meth was like, look at what you give. Look at the interviews you give. Look at the interviews you give." But that movie was very, very dope to me. And the last one on my list, wow, man.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm gonna say Set It Off.
Oh, it's a classic, yeah.
Like, again, Queen Latifah, salute, you know what I mean? Salute Vivica, you know what I mean? Salute to that whole cast that they did their thing in that movie. Definitely California related, you know what I'm saying? So, and it was definitely a dope story, and it's a classic movie. So when you see Set It Off, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna at least peep a few minutes of it. But yeah, if we ever did like a top 10 list of that, my list would be crazy. You know what I mean? Black and white. You know what I'm saying? Backstage. Wow, man. So again, that's just our list of 5 movies that we're just thinking of right now. And Yada made me think about the other stuff. When she said Juice, and then when she said Class Act, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know what I mean? So let us know on the Facebook page and the Facebook group down in Sports Talk what's your favorite hip hop movies, or just let us know in the chat what's your favorite hip hop movies. We are in the building down in Sports Talk every Tuesday night right now till we finish. You know what I mean? A lot of things going on this week in the world of sports, but the biggest thing that I guess is going on right now, Thursday night, was going to be the NBA draft. All right.
Yes.
And we already know who the consensus number 1 pick in the draft is going to be by the San Antonio Spurs, and that's going to be Victor Wembanyama from France, the big 7'5" kid. What are your thoughts in regards to what the Spurs are thinking and how that's going to put them back to prominence? And what do you think this kid is going to add to what the Spurs are doing right now?
I think that, well, one, I kind of think that since we already know who the first pick of the draft going to be, kind of makes the draft kind of lackluster a little bit, because it's like we already know who's number 1 pick. So we know Victor's going to be here. He's in New York right now. Apparently riding the subway. I guess that's a big thing, to ride a subway, because
You got to prove your toughness.
I I thought they had subways in overseas. I thought they had subways in
They
France too.
they ain't like the subways. They ain't like the
I
subways
guess
in New York.
I
I'll
guess
tell
he
you
got
that
to
much.
prove something to the American public that he's one of us. He's on the
Right,
subway with his
right.
security detail, and
Hey, Yada. There's always a first and last time for everything. You don't have
and
to worry about riding the subway after Thursday. Word up.
had this guy throwing out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium.
Oh man,
It was terrible. He was
terrible.
holding a baseball like it was something going to ooze out of it. Um, as I stated, he better make sure that this basketball thing work out, because baseball definitely isn't in his future. He's not a two-sport guy over here. But I think he's going to actually do well in the league. He is a part of the new wave, the
Mm-hmm.
new foreign wave, all of these international waves of the NBA. Um, we have potentially a new face of the NBA, and it's a foreign black guy from France who's 7'5", who's extremely skillful to be
Mm-hmm.
that tall. Um, when you look at him, you see, oh well, this guy is, skinny. Well, people forget, when you think back to when Kevin Garnett got drafted straight out of high school, he was a tall, skinny kid too. He didn't really build up muscle until like the second, third year of his NBA career. Um, Kevin Durant right now, when he came out of Texas, he was a skinny,
Oh
tall
yeah,
individual
yeah. That's
too.
right.
He was
That's right.
very. I
That's right.
mean, the Texas uniform, the jersey, it was like swallowing him up. It was so baggy on him, it was ridiculous, And people, fail to forget about that. And then, last, season we had, Chet Holmgren come in, and
Mm-hmm.
the difference I said,
Painfully thin. Right.
yeah, the difference I say between Victor and Chet is that Chet is thin. He's very thin. Victor is skinny. He already has experience playing with grown men, because he's been a pro since he was a teenager. So he
Mm-hmm.
has built up muscle definition in his arms and in his legs and in his core. So I think the only difference between him playing over there and over here is the dimensions on the court, because at the end of the day, it's still basketball. So I feel like he's going to be good. I think he's on the right team, um, underneath the perfect coach who has very, very great experience with foreign players. We want to talk about Tim Duncan, the great one of the greatest power forward ever to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have Tony Parker,
Mm-hmm.
one of the great point guards is out there, and then you have one of the greatest six men ever to play in Manu Ginobili, who
That's
comes
right.
off the bench, and all these guys. He's from what, Argentina. You got Tim Duncan from the Virgin Islands, and then you have Tony Parker from France.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he will fit into a system where he will not just learn from Papa, he'll learn how to play, the fundamental basketball from one of the greatest coaches ever. I think this is the reason why Pop stayed, is because he knew that there was a chance that he would be able to get his hands on this kid here first at the States. And I think the Spurs are in a perfect opportunity where they may found their new franchise player. And the way that the NBA is growing, it's now about the international players. They are
Right.
taking over on the court, winning championships,
Mm-hmm.
winning MVP, scoring titles, defense players of the year title, and also form these international players are now becoming the face of the NBA, because for some strange reason the guys that's born here in America don't know how to act in these streets. So
Mm.
now the NBA is really going to turn global, because the new face will be drafted number one Thursday, which is Victor Wimbayama. He's already in commercials. They already putting the spotlight on this kid. They're not talking about anybody else in the draft.
Right.
Nobody
And
else
there
in the
and there
draft.
and there and there and there are
He's
numerous
Michael
and there are
Jordan.
numerous there are numerous guys in this draft. I mean,
Yes.
talking about again Victor Wembanyama. I mean, a lot of these guys that are already in the league and are considered greats in the league are copping pleas. I mean, you got Giannis Antetokounmpo. He thinks he's a unique prospect. You know what I mean? LeBron James is calling him an alien. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And again, I think that he's the best prospect that we've probably seen since LeBron. But we're gonna watch him. We're gonna watch Victor Wembanyama in the summer league and watch how his game translates to an NBA style, and we'll see what happens. But again, like you said, there are other guys in this draft, particularly Scoot Henderson, right? He's a guy that a lot of people thought was going to be the consensus number one pick in the draft until Wembanyama came along. I mean, Scoot Henderson, he's a guy that is really, really competitive. He has, he's really a top flight athlete. You know what I mean? He's really, really competitive. I
Very
think that
athletic.
he's going to bring whatever, he's going to bring that fire, and he's going to bring a chip on his shoulder. Don't let
Yes.
nobody fool you. Don't let nobody fool you. He's definitely going to have a chip on his shoulder because, again, last year, maybe 2 years ago at this time, they were
I was
talking
talking
about
about.
Scoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's all they talked about was Scoot Henderson. And one day you wake up and you're like, who is this guy, Victor? What? Victor who? You know what I
Victor,
mean?
who from where?
And and then you got the guy Brandon Miller, okay, from the University of Alabama. You may have heard of him for the situation that he was dealing with. Where a young lady lost her life tragically, but he's still going to be available to be selected in this draft. And again, I think when you talk about Brandon Miller, he may be one of those guys that, like Yada said, he's American player, but he's got some baggage with him.
He got others. What we say is always the other stuff. And
Yep.
truthfully, I'm glad that we're talking about him, because again, there's no coverage at all on this guy. Like, they just let the story this when once Alabama got eliminated from the NCAA tournament, the story also got eliminated from out the press.
Mm.
Also, you know,
Hmm.
um, Do I think he should be in this draft? No.
Mm.
This guy is also at fault of what happened to
Right.
that young lady who lost her life
Mm-hmm.
because he brought the gun to the situation. I know people say, well, he didn't know his friend was going to shoot somebody. Well, then why did he need a gun? You don't just bring a gun to play with. It's not a toy, you know. He asking for the gun because he got some business he got to handle. Something ain't right. So instead of maybe protecting his friend, his quote unquote friend, for doing something stupid with his life, he went right along with it, throwing the gun, and now someone lost their life because he wanted be down, which is crazy to me. But yeah, Brandon Miller's in there. Also, the twins, the Thompson
Right.
twins.
That's right.
Amin
Absolutely.
and
That's right.
Azul.
Amen, and Osor. I guess that's how
Azul
you pronounce his name.
Thompson are two really good prospects. Also, they played in the G League on the United no overtime
Elite.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I believe Azul is a shooting guard. Amin is a point guard. I think Azul is a little bit better than Amin. He's more athletic, more he's athletic going to going to the lane. He's a better finisher at the bucket. But they both are two really good prospects. I can see them going within the top 10, possibly top 5 of the draft. And then you have your guys. You got the Cam Whitmores from Villanova, the small forward. Then you got the kid from Arkansas, Anthony Black. You got the guy from Kansas, Grady Dick. So I mean, it's a pretty okay draft. It's top heavy, but
very top heavy.
But you can find a couple gems here. When you look through who's coming out. There's a lot of guys coming in from overseas. You got you got the kid Lenora Miller from Canada. You got the guy from Nigeria. He's a guard. You got a couple more guys from France. So it should be an interesting draft. I think after like the top 5 picks, then it's going to get a little interesting. A lot of people want to start Googling these players and looking at their tapes and stuff like that because I mean it's it's
go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it, Yada. Go ahead and say it. Who are these guys? Who are these guys? You know what I mean?
We seen some of them in the tournament. It wasn't very highlight. It's all it's all about Victor, Scoot, Brandon, Azor. After that 5, it's like it's a toss up.
Right.
So
we got Wnba in the building. He's out of University of Oklahoma, but he's not eligible for the draft.
No, I just came from the.
He was running around. He was running around at birthday parties shooting people with water pistols.
Well, I just left the university. I just left the University of Oklahoma. They had a red and white scrimmage. I was watching them scrimmage.
Oh yeah.
I got my little number 1 and my OU stuff on.
Shout out to Norman. He got some very good memories down there in Norman, Oklahoma. Some very good memories. Salute to Norman, Oklahoma. Word up. We're talking about the NBA draft. And we started the show talking about the best hip hop movies. Give us a couple of your best hip hop movies that stick with you that you remember.
Well, it's got to be, of course, my man Run DMC. When they first came out and they did their thing and showed them with the Fat Boys and all
Oh,
of them.
you talk about Crush Groove. I thought you was gonna say. I thought you was gonna say tough. I thought you was gonna say tougher than leather.
Nah, not tougher than leather. No, hell no. But Crush Groove, that's when it was raw, uncut. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right.
then I like my man Ice T. He was doing his thing, West Coast wise, with the breaking and all that, with Boogaloo Shrimp and
okay. So Yada was on that note. Yep. Yada was on that note. Honorable mention movies. We just mentioned Tougher Than Leather, Colors. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, so that's what it is. We're in the building, man. We got Wnba in the house with us, man, down at Sportstalk Tuesday nights, doing what we do. Let's get into it right now. Since we got Yada here in the building, and her Philadelphia Phillies are doing their numbers right now. You know what I mean?
Sir.
So before she was kind of down in the dumps about they stink, that nobody's hitting. You know what I mean? What's going on? I can't get no love. So now it's a new day at Citizens Bank Ballpark, and Yada Bear's in the building. Talk about it a little bit, Yada. Talk about your Phillies a little bit.
Well, listen, I have my typical Philadelphia Philly fan moment where, we sat back, looked at the team, was like, this team stinks. Like, what's going on?
Team stinks, son.
And then we went on this West Coast trip when we went down over to Arizona, took 3 out of 4, and then we swept the A's in that terrible stadium. Oakland Stadium is terrible. Just the fans don't even go. Like the fans, like they was doing this reverse strike. I guess they was calling it there.
Reverse boycott. Yeah, reverse boycott.
Yeah, reverse boycott when the fans were supposed to try to buy out the stadium, and
right.
The stadium holds like 56,000 fans, and I think they only sold like 20,000 tickets, so it wasn't even half. I kind of feel bad for the fans in Oakland, but they gotta blame the city. The city don't want to spend no money on the stadium. But
that stadium is straight in the hood.
Yeah.
When I was out in Oakland, I'm walking like that's what the first Cisco I ever had was in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking down the street. I see these big lights. I'm like, what is this? And the homie was like, that's the Coliseum, because it used to be called the Coliseum back then. And I was like, with the Raiders and the A, he was like, yeah. I was like, what? Because you got people's houses like 3 blocks away, and then you walk, it's this big parking lot for the stadium. So again, and they didn't do nothing to it. They didn't try to upgrade it or anything like that. So this is what you get, man. And the Oakland A's, man, are a team of like, my childhood when they were winning, 3 straight World Series, and Charles Finley, he was one of those crazy owners that really, he tried to fire somebody in the middle of the World Series, and it was just crazy. But like you said, Yada, nowadays, we're in 2023, it's a different time. And if you want to keep up, you have to have the ball players, and you have to have the place for them to play, and somewhere where the fans want to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they haven't done anything, and now it looked like the A's really will be moving to Vegas because they got the approval to build the stadium in Vegas. So Vegas, potentially within the next year or two, will have a football team, a hockey team who just won
the Stanley Cup. That's right.
A WNBA team who just won the championship last year, and now they're going to bring in a Major League Baseball team. So
if you look at it, I think they're trying to get them a soccer team.
I heard that too. Yeah,
I heard that. I heard that.
An MLS team.
Yeah.
Soon, I'm not going to be surprised.
On top of Vegas being the fight capital.
And on top of them being a
There we
fight
go.
capital,
You know what I
both
mean?
boxing and UFC.
Right.
Not even mentioning the casinos. And then I won't be surprised if we don't get an NBA team up there soon. You know,
Wow.
everybody keeps
They
talking.
used to. Hey,
Hey,
Yada. Hey,
hey,
Browski. They used to have an NBA team. With
hey,
the running rebels. They used to have an NBA team. Shout out to Larry Johnson,
Hey,
Stacey
Larry
Alston,
Johnson, grandmama.
grandma,
absolutely,
yeah. So,
absolutely. Right, hey, Greg
Yeah,
Anthony. That's right, absolutely,
yeah.
yeah,
yo. Rest in
yeah,
peace, rest in
I
peace,
mean,
Dr.
Vegas,
Shark, yo. Absolutely, yep,
Vegas
yeah.
about
The
to be
Shark
the
absolutely,
Tank.
new sports
The Shark
capital.
Tank.
Vegas about
yep.
to
The
be
Shark
the
Tank.
new
That's right.
sports capital over there. And
Yep.
but right
But
now,
think about it. But think about it. Okay, I don't mean to cut you off, Yada. That's a gambling town. There's more
yeah,
money run through there than anywhere in America. So they should have all kind of sports
they should have
programs
everything there. They should
already
have,
Yeah,
been
that's
there
true.
for
yeah.
years.
And when
Correct.
people was like, "Well, how they gonna have baseball there? It's super hot in Vegas." I said, "Well, how they have baseball in Texas? It's extremely hot in Texas. It's
In
extremely hot
Indoor,
Arizona.
in Arizona.
Arizona,
indoor.
and listen, not for
It's
nothing. In
extremely
St.
hot in
Louis,
Florida."
that's why they had to change the AstroTurf in St. Louis to natural grass because in
Yeah,
St. Louis the AstroTurf was like 120 degrees out there.
exactly. So you
So
can have it anywhere. So
Hey,
that's why
I'll be
that's why
right
they
back.
make retractable roofs.
right,
That's why they make retractable roofs. So I could definitely see baseball being out there, and I just feel bad for the hardcore A's fans that will be losing yet another team. You
that's right.
lost the Raiders, you lost the Warriors,
Warriors, that's
and
right,
now you're about to lose the Oakland A's because
right.
the city just not
Can't support them.
doing
They don't
not
support them.
supporting them. They're
Yep.
definitely not supporting. So, but getting back to the Phillies real quick. Right now, we're battling the our division leaders, the Atlanta Braves. We're down 3-1, bottom of the seventh of the first game of our series. So this is a really big week for the Phillies because right now we're currently 4 games over 500, and we are chasing these Atlanta Braves. So we can be, if we can split the series and sweep the Mets, we could be about 4 games behind um the Braves. Or if it just turned out to be a terrible week, we could be 12 games behind the Braves. So it is crazy. Like, this series is very important to set up the next series that we have with the Braves, which are going to be extremely important too. Especially because everybody else in the wild card spots are playing good. Like, the wild card is so jumbled up right now. Everybody's like a game to,
Mm-hmm.
a game or a game and a half or half game behind each other. So we currently sit in like the 5th spot in the wild card. We're trying to move up. So these next 2 series are extremely important, and hopefully, we can come out um, kind of victorious. A split with the Braves, I'll be happy with. I'll be happy with a split. But with
Y'all
the
the
Mets,
bear happy with the split. All right. I
hey,
mean, to add on
listen, I
to
look. I gotta look at reality right now. We're still in a weird place with our rotation. I starting
but it's
lineup.
June. It's
Pitching.
June. You guys are you do your thing in June.
Listen, yes, in the past, but right now, especially how this the scheduling is. The schedule is kind of
Right.
weird. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we getting all these back to back divisional games. That's extremely important, and it took us till June to really start playing teams in our division. And so all these games, they matter.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the way that the schedule is now set up, it brings to light how important these divisional games are. Because, like I said, we could be 4 games behind by the All-Star break, or we could be 12 games behind the Braves by the All-Star break. And we don't want to be that way. We want to take the ladder. We don't want to be 12 games behind. But how you feeling about your Yankees over there? I see that the man is
yeah.
Salo.
I mean, we just came back. We played back-to-back weekend series against Boston. We went 1-5. It just basically seems like Aaron Judge. If we don't have Aaron Judge, we're just a different team. We don't hit. What I mean? We don't play situational baseball. Aaron Boone, he wants to, do more argument. But a lot of times, when you're in this situation, you tend to kind of like the string runs very, very thin. Your nerves get frayed right now. When Aaron Judge is on, in the lineup and healthy, the team is relaxed. We play our typical type of Yankee baseball. But let me say this about the Yankees. It's not Aaron Judge. It's not Aaron Boone. It's Giancarlo Stanton. He's an albatross. I've been saying that for the longest time about this guy. I mean, at the end of the day, I think since he's been on the Yankees, I think it's almost been 4 or 5 years. He's been an albatross. I think he's played like 40% of our games. You know what I mean? And it makes no sense. And again, we have a nice little record, but again, our record, kind of like belies the fact of how we're playing. We're up and down, the lineup, you got Josh Donaldson. When you got Josh Donaldson down in AAA, getting picked off for first base in AAA, that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, it's a problem.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not really panicking right now because it's June and I've seen this before, but this is not the type of team that I feel confident about going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. You know what I mean? And like you said, the meat of the schedule is coming up now when we play in the division opponents, and even a team like the Baltimore Orioles, you know what I mean? And the Blue Jays are doing their thing, you know what I mean? But so we don't want to look up at these young teams. These teams are younger than us. These teams are hungry, all right? They've been through the disappointments, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Guerreros, the Bigios, the Bichettes. Those guys have been around. They've been together for about 2 or 3 years now. So again, now they got to start feeling themselves, and they can beat the Yankees. Then you got a team like the Baltimore Orioles, who have my favorite catcher in the league, Adley Rutschman. I liked him before he even came up. You know what I mean? They suffered last year. They went through their bumps and bruises last year, but they learned. They picked themselves up. Yes. They dusted themselves off, and the Orioles are playing great baseball right now. You know what I mean? They got it going on. So as far as the Yankees are concerned, we used to look at those series against Baltimore, against Toronto. It was like, okay, we'll take 2 out of 3. We'll take 3 out of 4. We'll split. Yeah. But now it's like we're lucky if we get a split against these teams. Or we could take 2 out of 3. In the beginning of the season, we were winning series. That was the thing. We were winning series. 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. But now, it seems like we can't, get 2 games out of any series, otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So again, I just think that the All-Star break is going to come, at the right time for us. We got a couple of weeks left before the All-Star game in Seattle. But I think that Carlos Rodon, he hasn't shown up yet, right? And Aaron Judge, he's going through his annual injury thing, but it's it just takes all the air out of the Yankees balloon when Aaron Judge is not there. So I feel like, we have some work ahead of us, and the teams that are ahead of us are not going to make it easy at all. I want to, show some love to a couple of teams that a lot of people don't really think about. And one of those teams is the Pittsburgh Pirates. At the beginning of the season, this is why we talk about here on Down in Sports Talk, the baseball season is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So when the Pittsburgh Pirates was killing everybody at the beginning of the season, I said, just wait. Just watch. Yeah. Just watch. They started the season, Yada. They were 20-8.
Yes, it was.
And since then, they've gone 14-28.
Yeah, now they 34-37.
Right, so the only teams, since in that stretch of time with a worse record than them are the Oakland A's and the Kansas City Royals. But bust this though, they're only 2.5 games out of first place.
Yep, and look who's in first place.
Right, in the National League Central. Talk about it. Go ahead, y'all. Say their name. Go ahead.
Cincinnati Reds.
The Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, I had a former coworker who's a huge Reds fan. Mike loves the Reds, so I know right now he's loving what he's seeing. And the Reds are 9-2 when they last 12 games, and they have been sneaky good. No one's been
Mm-hmm.
talking about the Reds, and they've
Right.
just been out there playing very good baseball all around, pitching, hitting, running the bases, defense. I mean, they got the young kid, De La Cruz, who's a giant out there running on these bases, and
Right.
he's very fast. He's speedy. It's
Look
like
like
he
a
takes
look
like
like a big
four
old Christmas tree
steps.
running around. That's right.
Yeah, like it's like this guy hits the ball and takes 4 steps. He at first base. Takes another
Right.
4. He's at second. 3. He's at third, and then 2 steps. He's sliding into home. So it's crazy. And then you got their star. One of the staples of the Cincinnati Reds. When you think of the Cincinnati Reds, you gotta say Jody Votto. Name you gotta talk about Votto. Um, you can't talk about the Reds without talking about him. He's been out for a while. He came back, and he came back hitting home runs. It's crazy, and they've been good. It's nice to see the Reds have some success. I know it's early. We all know it's early, but just for them to have some early success, is good. Is good for baseball. And I'm happy for my Reds fans. They have suffered for a long time, the ups and downs, more downs than ever in their organization. So salute to the Reds. Celebrate your success for now.
And remember the Cincinnati Reds, they started off, 7-15. Everybody was like, "Oh, here we go again with the Cincinnati
Typical.
Reds." And since,
Typical Reds.
since then, since then they're 30-20. And if we, map it out for the rest of the season, they look like they're going to win 97 games, and that's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of excitement around the team. They got a decent ballpark there.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Ellie De La Cruz. They got, one of my guys I like is Jonathan India. You know what I mean?
Oh yes.
Spencer Steer, Will Benson. You know what I mean? The kid
Yes.
Andrew Abbott. So again, they're doing their thing. For me, I picked the St. Louis Cardinals to win this division, right? And I haven't really seen, they're looking up at the Cincinnati Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers, and
They're looking up to everybody.
they're looking up to everybody right now.
Yeah.
And I just think, you got to put some respect on the Cincinnati Reds name right now, where we are. And I think that the end of the season will tell. The dog days are coming. You know what I mean? Our next progress report will be around the 4th of July. So we'll see, where they're at right now. But yeah, I just think that, I love baseball. I'm a baseball head.
Especially
and
during this time, because during
yeah.
this time of the year
Mhm.
right now, you start hearing a lot of trade speculations within baseball.
Right.
Now we looking at the teams, because now at this point, right before the All-Star break, you kind of know what your team is. You
Mhm.
kind of know what you're missing, what you're looking for in the trade
Right.
deadline, what moves,
Right.
and who you want to see go on your team. So, that's why I love this time of the year too, because it's like, well, his name has been out there. We were talking about the Cardinals. The biggest name that they've been talking about is Goldsmith. Like, he could be on a different team, because they got the kid that's playing first base now.
Mhm.
They got I forgot his name, but the kid, he's playing first base, and Goldsmith isn't. So he could be on the move. And this was a guy who they was loving last year. He's hitting home runs. He's playing good, defense at first base. They was loving him last year.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now they talking about sending him away. So that's why I just going today, here tomorrow. Now let me ask you a question though, since we talk
Go
about
ahead.
baseball real quick.
Mhm.
Now, it's been a huge debate going on, especially around here in Philly, about the leadoff spot on your team. Do you want your leadoff guy hitting home runs, or do you want him on the bases? To me, I don't care if he hit home runs, because that's already 1 point on the board.
Right.
Most people were like, oh, well, he should be able to get base hits,
To
get a
set the table
single,
for the lineup.
set the
Right. That's
table
right.
for the
Mhm.
next guy. But what if your next guy is in a slump? If my leadoff right now, which is Kyle Schwarber, he has almost I think he has like 19, maybe 20 home runs already at the leadoff position. Am I mad at that? No, because that means that he scored 20 times. Now, what I would like him to have, someone on first base or 2 run or someone on have a 3 run home. Yeah, I will. But if you're telling me that I can get a point by one swing right now instead of having him hit a single, get to first base.
Right, right, right.
Maybe the second guy come up, hit a deep pop up, sacrifice fly. He tags up and go to second. Maybe the third guy walks or strike out, or maybe he hits a ground ball that gets through the crease and he gets to third base. Like, why should it take almost 4 batters for him to score one time when he got one swing of the bat? He can go yard. And I know what the Yankees like. Aaron Judge, he leads off, right, when he's in the lineup.
Now, Aaron Judge leads off sometimes, but he hits second.
Okay, but still, so like when he's in the leadoff spot and he hits those home runs, you ain't mad, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So,
it's sink or swim with Aaron Judge. Either gonna hit a home run or he gonna strike out. So,
yeah.
But when you talk about the leadoff batter, the leadoff man, I'm a baseball head, so I can get into it. There's never going to be a guy like a Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
You would rather see Ricky Henderson hit a home run, because if he gets a base hit, a single is good as a double. A double is good as a triple with Ricky Henderson. But as baseball goes, your leadoff man is supposed to set the table. Now, like you said, if your leadoff man can hit a home run, the table's set already. You're up 1-0.
I'm up.
Right? So you got the second guy who's supposed to be the best hitter on the team. The third and fourth place hitters are supposed to be your RBI guys. That's why you have your third and fourth guys. They're the ones that have the 90 and 120 and 130 RBIs, because the leadoff guys are getting on. Now, to speak more to your question, if Kyle Schwarber is leading off, he gets more at bats. So hopefully, when you have that 7th and 8th guy that comes up in the line that maybe have to lead off an inning or something like that, and Schwarber is on, comes up the bat with those guys on base, then you'll get that 3-run home run. But how often is that going to happen? So I get it. So in your case, as far as the Phillies are concerned, would I want Kyle Schwarber to be the leadoff guy? Yes and no. Yes, because it puts pressure on the pitcher from the beginning, because you got a guy that you can't waste no pitches against. If you think that you're going to strike Kyle Schwarber out, you're going to be playing whiplash, because he's going to put one in the upper deck in right field, right?
Yeah.
So, especially now, because this is Schwarber's time of the year. So for me, if I'm a Phillies fan, I don't take it for granted, but I take it for what it's worth. You know what I mean? Again, that would send a message to the rest of the lineup, the Castellanos. You know what I mean? The those guys that have to hit behind Kyle Schwarber. Right. Yeah. So again, it's going to be a debate, and the debate is fair. You know what I mean? So who would you rather have? Typically, the leadoff guy is a speed guy that gets on base, right? But Schwarber's not a speed guy. You know what I mean? Power. So again, and so you're gonna trade speed for power at this point of the game. So again, that's a great argument. And however you see it, you could be right from both sides of both perspectives. You know what I mean? If you want the leadoff guy to be speed, that leadoff guy is going to have a high OPS. He's going to have to be on base all the time, right? So, like you said, if your leadoff guy doesn't get on base, that's 1 out. Or if he does get on base, that's a single. Then you got to rely on the 2, 3, and 4 hitters to bring him home. So again, it's how you look at it. You can look at it half full. You can look at it half empty. It's how you depend on how you look at it. But yeah, man, I wish we could use a Kyle Schwarber right now. You know what I'm saying? Because my lineup is hit or miss. We can't depend on anybody. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's my team, and it is what it is. And like you said, we go through the pains, and we go through the ups and downs with our team.
Yeah, we go through the emotions,
Yeah, absolutely. We in the building, man. Hit that like and subscribe button. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that messes with us, man, down in Sportstalk. We're over 600 subscribers deep on the YouTube channel. Rock with us, YouTube, stream me on Facebook, and make it happen. Right now, we're going to get into some WNBA, right? And again, I think that we need to show the WNBA a little bit more love. I was watching some WNBA over the weekend. You know, shout out to Floyd Mayweather. He's a big supporter. He was at the Vegas
Yes,
game,
yes, he
and
is.
and again, you know, the WNBA is doing their thing. We talked about a team before the season started, the Connecticut Sun, and
Yeah,
you know, not to disrespect anybody else, you know, because you already know the Vegas Aces are doing their numbers, the Liberty are doing their numbers, and you know, the Connecticut Sun, they lost some people. You
they
know, we were
lost a
like,
lot.
oh, what are the
They lost a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And we were kind of
Yeah.
questioning, you know, what were the Connecticut Sun going to do? But right now, I mean, you know, they're 9-3. You know, they lost to the Dream in overtime, but they made up for that by beating the Sparks. You know, the win over the Sparks was the first time all season that they made less than 10 free throws in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they,
Mm-hmm.
they they continue to lead the league in free throw attempts and they're second in points in the paint. So again, you know, that says a lot about what Connecticut is doing. And again, it says a lot about, you know, with the WNBA. If you lose some stuff on paper, you might not look as good, but you got to put the game is not playing on paper. So I respect the Connecticut Sun for what they've done.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts in regards to the WNBA?
I definitely wanted to give a nice shout out to the Indiana Fever. Aaliyah Boston
Yes, yep.
is
She's starting to
having
get it right.
a
She's starting to get
hell
it
of
right.
a rookie
Yep.
season. You know, she's dropping 25 point double. She 19, 15. Like she really found her spark here with Indiana. And you know, Indiana right now they are what they're 4-7, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not an easy out, you know,
That's right.
anymore. When you play the Fever, you have to play the Fever because they push you to the limit. You know, yes, they had a couple blown out games, but it was very early on in the season where they were still learning each other and still learning how to play together. But now, um, they're tough out now. It's very competitive. I cannot give Leah Boston enough kudos. You know, she really came in this league and she picked up right where she left off at in South Carolina. So respect to her. Also, respect to the Atlanta Dream. Ryan
Right.
Howard, second season, you know, sophomore season, she picked up right where she left off too last year, you know, as a rookie in the WNBA. Atlanta, another very young team. Looked at them
Hottest
last
team in the
year.
league.
Yeah. You looked at them last year as, you know, as an easy out also, and now they're gelling together. Um, Ryan Howard got a year underneath her belt. She out there looking like a real professional, real star. And the Dream is actually playing pretty decent basketball. They're 500 team right now. They're 5-5, and they're playing good. And you know, we got to talk about the three powerhouses. You know, the Aces.
But let me add on, not
Okay,
to cut your wisdom. Let me add on right quick about the Atlanta Dream.
go ahead.
They beat the Liberty,
Yes,
they
they did.
beat the Sun, and they
They
beat
did.
the Fever. Three teams that we talked about already. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, Alicia Gray, you know, she showed why she was acquired by the Atlanta Dream. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So again, you know, she's averaging 22.6 points, you know what I mean, and 6
Mm-hmm.
rebounds, and she's shooting 60% in the last 3 games. So
Yeah.
again, give some respect to the Atlanta Dream.
Yes. Um. Also, you know, another team that lost a lot. You know, well, lost a big chunk. Also, Chicago Sky. You know, they're still hanging in there. Khalid Cooper holding it down. Um, the Sky's playing tough.
They're playing like garbage, Yada. They lost
Well,
4 in a row.
well, I
You know
mean,
what I mean? I
all
get it.
right.
I get it. I get it.
I mean, it's still early. They had a couple bad games, but I mean, listen, they was playing all right. Like they,
A lot of injuries, a lot of absences. You're right. You're right. You're right.
you know, but with all that going on right now, they still like the AFC. So you know, if the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs start today, they're still the AFC. They're still in contention. And like I was saying before, you know, our powerhouses, the Aces,
Right.
the Liberty. and the Mystics. I mean, what can I say about the Aces? That's like it's a super team. They
That's right.
every other game, you got a different leading scorer. Everybody's scoring. Everybody's playing
They
very
winning by 30
cohesive,
points. Right.
very
You're
cohesive
out here killing people.
basketball. They
Right.
the defense is way better than last year. The
Mm-hmm.
addition of Candace Parker
Right.
bringing her in, like especially just on the defensive end, has they look night and day from last year, and
Mm.
and I'm saying that to the defending champions. Like you may think that I'm saying that they didn't win the championship last year or they had a tough season, but no, like with Candace Parker, they are so much better than what they was last season, and the Liberty. I mean, Brianna Stewart is no defending this chick. She can every spot on the court is her spot. You know how they're like, oh, she gotta get to her spot. Don't let her get to her
Right.
spot.
Right.
Well, the whole court is her spot. You know, this chick hits from everywhere, behind the arc, mid range, post you up, active on the boards. Um, a really great passer. So the Liberty, they still trying to get their groove because they
That's right.
brand new, trying to gel together. But as the season go on, they look better and better, and so do the Mystics. Elena coming back, she looks super healthy. She's out there doing her thing out down there in Washington. So I think this WNBA season, especially during the playoffs, is going to be I think it's going to be great, very competitive. And if you're not watching, you're missing out. You need to
Shame
watch.
on you.
You need to watch.
That's
It's
right.
some really good basketball happening out here in the WNBA.
That's right.
But before we get out, speaking of the WNBA, let's talk about the NBA real quick. We had a
Okay.
very interesting trade that happened over the weekend or earlier this week,
Mm-hmm.
where the Phoenix Suns and the Washington Wizards made a trade where Bradley Beal got sent there, and the Wizards got Chris Paul, Lammy Shamek, and like 2 second-round picks, I believe.
Right. Right. Right.
Two second-round picks. And now we have another quote-unquote super team. Somebody here don't like the name super team, but I'm gonna say this: is it a super team? I don't think so, because Bradley Beal, as good as he is, he haven't won a playoff series. He
Right.
hasn't won anything.
Right.
I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a star. I think he's a really good player. But again, people like to throw that superstar term around on everybody.
Everybody,
Because they play.
Everybody.
Yeah, because they're out there, doing a thing here and there. But if you look at the stats, he averaged about 22 points a game. I mean, he does have those games where he's putting up 30. He may put up a 40 piece. But again, he was playing in Washington. Somebody got to score those points. I'm not a hater. I always thought Bradley Beal was a good player. I think he'll fit in over there. But when we look at that team now, I'm focused on Kevin Durant, because now if this is a super team, then this is what, his fourth
super team. Right. Let's go, Yada. Let's go.
We have to start having this conversation about Kevin Durant, because we always have that smoke for LeBron. Oh, he left Cleveland and he went to Miami.
Right.
And
Let's
he won
go.
the championships there, and then he came back to Cleveland once they got Kyrie, and he won a chip there. Now he went to LA, and now he won a chip there. He's just rain chasing. He's bouncing around. But what about Kevin Durant? I have heard plenty of times people calling Kevin Durant the best player, or if not the second best player in the NBA, or one of the best players in the NBA. I
Mm-hmm.
have called him that he's one of the best players in the NBA, but now why don't we give him that same smoke? Why don't we say that he's ring chasing? Because when he was in Oklahoma City, yes,
With Harden and Russell Westbrook,
we
right?
didn't know what that was. There was a homegrown quote unquote super team.
That was it. That was in the finals.
That was in the finals. They and at one point they had the guy, the team that he went to. They was up 3-1 against them. But it didn't work out there. So then he went and he joined another super team.
Yeah.
That was already a super team.
It was already a super team.
With their
That's
farm
right.
system.
That's right.
So now he made them into what we want to call him, a super duper team. He won 2 chips with them. Okay.
That's crazy. Super duper team.
He became finals MVP
Right.
in both NBA finals, and then he left and said, "You know what? I want to be on my own team." He wants his own team. That sounds.
He want to come to the hood and come and get down on Flatbush Avenue and all that. You know what I mean? Him and Kyrie and all that.
And then he made the worst decision, I think, in his career by leaving and going to Brooklyn to do what? To do nothing. And guess what happened there? They created another super team with him, Kyrie, and James Harden. Oh, we're going to have multiple championships here. Everybody was on the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, the Brooklyn Nets.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
how
right.
many are they going to win? What are they going to do?
And Stephen A. Smith.
Nothing.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Nothing. They didn't even smell an NBA final. They couldn't even get out the second round.
A bunch of excuses. Yep.
So now he leaves there. Now he's with Phoenix, and then with him and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and these guys going to for sure make a run in the playoffs. Well, then on cue, Chris Paul gets hurt. On cue, he's out the playoffs, and then we all know what happened. They lose. Denver wins the championship, and now here we go with this blockbuster trade. I don't even think it's a blockbuster trade. Chris Paul is old because
blockbuster.
Yeah, he's not even gonna wear a Wizards jersey. He's not even gonna have the jersey.
Right. That's right.
I mean, they might not even have a press conference to announce him on the team because he's not part of the team. He's not gonna be there.
Crazy. That's right.
It's nuts. Like, so now, only thing Chris Paul is doing, he's waiting for them to buy him out. And then when we look at Chris Paul, it's I didn't find out. My son told me when I was flying in New York. Well, who cares?
Right.
Who cares how you found out? The point is you found out, and you should have known it was coming because you have not been available for the Suns. The best ability that a basketball or any athlete has is availability. And he's never available at the
responsibility.
Exactly.
Accountability.
So now, with him going, I feel like he's going to try to get on one of these LA teams, and I feel like he just needs to sit back and just retire. It's not going to happen, bro. You're not going to win the championship. And that's what he's looking to do. He's chasing that ring. And I think the ring outran you. It's already up there, and you already back here. You
try to chase it with those bad hamstrings.
Now he can't catch him, not with them hamstrings.
Right.
Them hamstrings always failing him, but
that's right,
man.
But yeah, word up, man. That's what it is. We in the building, man. Down in Sports Talk every Tuesday night, man. Myself and my co-D out of Bear always holding it down as usual. We about to get up out of here, man. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We on YouTube, all right. We on Facebook. We on StreamYard, and again, down in Sports Talk on Facebook, all right. Chop it up with us in the group. Let us know your favorite hip hop movie and all that good stuff. Yada Bear, appreciate you all the time. When Walker had to make one of his world famous store runs. We'll talk to him next week. And we're about to get up out of here, yo. Down in Sports Talk. Salute. We out.
Salute.
Peace. Don't go nowhere.
Getting ready for that boxing.
Yeah, man. You already know what it is. You already know.
For
Word up.